welcome to Content News. Today's date is Thursday, December 10, 1908. I'm Asha Nagraha, and my co-host Nadine later. We will be bringing up the output of Content News in London. We begin tonight's news coming from the recent treaty held in France. The treaty involves the cession of Spain from its remaining territories, which signaled the end of the Spanish-American War. Spain's remaining territories, including Guam, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Philippines, were allocated to the U.S. on behalf of their demand for the price of $20 million. The Spanish-American War had its origins in the rebellion of Cuba against Spanish rule. The Spaniards took oppressive measures in the incline of guerrilla attacks coming from Cuban independence practitioners. The first scenes of a backlash from the Americans came on April, 8 months ago, where the U.S. Congress authorized President McKinley to use force. 125,000 volunteers were asked by the president himself to fight against Spain and to spark the war even more. A few months later, U.S. Asiatic Squadron under Commodore George Dewey destroyed the Spanish fleet, which paved the way for an eventual decisive victory over the Spanish. All the allocations, in accordance to the 1898 Treaty of Paris, will be held in France on December 10. President McKinley, with a subset of Senates, continued on to celebrate the conclusion of the Spanish-American War. However, the Filipino insurgents who fought against the Spanish rule soon turned their guns towards their new occupiers. The U.S. simply states that this is a new step for new allies.
The conflict was decisive, but the results show the U.S. acting on to secure world affairs and ultimately to endorse in the connections within foreign policies.
Audio Jungle.
Today, we've got the benevolent assimilation. Nadine, why don't you tell us more about it?
Sure, Asha. In the early months of 1899, U.S. President William McKinley issued the Benevolent Assimilation, a proclamation concerning the United States' altruistic intentions to colonize the Philippines.
We come not as invaders or conquerors, but as friends, to protect the natives in their homes, in their employment, and in their personal and religious rights.
That's right. The U.S. claimed that they wanted to win the confidence, respect, and affection of the inhabitants of the Philippines to prove their good intentions.
And to prove to them that the mission of the United States is one of the benevolent assimilation, substituting the mild sway of justice and right for arbitrary rule.
Asha, why exactly do you think McKinley decided to issue the Benevolent Assimilation?
Well, as those of us know, there has been an ever-increasing tension in the Philippines as the Spanish-American War edged closer to its end. McKinley acknowledged that tension and the possible consequences.
And that's why he created this framework to help keep the revolting Filipinos at bay. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed it is.
Through President McKinley's impressive persuasive skills, he managed to convince his audience that the United States would take control of Philippine sovereignty with completely benevolent intentions in mind, and would do so without stripping its people of their personal liberties.
And that's it for today, folks. I'm Asha Nagroho and my co-host Nadine Hillman. Thank you for watching. Tune in for tomorrow for more news. Welcome to another session of Compton News. Today is 29 August 1916. Politician Hillary Ann is here with us today to talk about the Jones Law. Hillary, are you there? Can you tell our audience a little bit more about the Philippine Autonomy Act?
Of course. The date is 29 August 1916. Earlier today, the Jones Law was put into work by the United States Congress in order to replace an outdated law known as the Philippine Organic Act of 1930. The Jones Law will lay the foundation for a more autonomous government for the Philippines. This law will bring about the start of a representative electoral process, as well as the recognizing of crucial civil and political rights for the people of the Philippines.
Wow, this is going to be a big step for the Philippines.
I'm definitely agreeing with that, Nadine. It serves as the first ever formal declaration of America's commitment to help the Philippines achieve a state of independence. The law proclaims that independence will be granted when the Philippines can establish their own stable government.
How do you think this change will affect the United States?
Go. Well, the U.S. gets a say in America's independence. America will be the one deciding when stable government is achieved. That way, the Filipino people will be able to work on creating their very own ruling body. However, some privileges and rights are still reserved for the United States. This way, we can protect our own rights and interests. The reason the Jones Law is so significant is because of its ability to satisfy both sides.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us today.
No problem.
And now we move on to the next news segment. Let's rewind a bit and reflect on the days of torture in the Philippines.
Audio.
Welcome back. Today we will be discussing the torture that has happened in the Philippines. We now welcome Gita Bong, a Filipino expert, to join us. Gita, are you with us?
Yes, good morning. Sure, Nadine. I witnessed the American-Filipino War with my own eyes. I lost my very own father and brother as a result of the war. The Americans exterminated everyone, be it women, children, men, or prisoners. They compared Filipinos to dogs and often mocked us when they sang their war songs. Many inhumane acts had been committed. The kind of torture we faced was similar to what all other colonial powers would do to the people of the lands they acquired. We were considered an inferior race, and in this case I like to quote Mark Twain. I have read carefully the Treaty of Paris, and I have seen that we do not intend to free, but to subjugate the people of the Philippines. We have gone to conquer, not to redeem. It should, it seems to me, be our pleasure and duty to make those people free and let them deal with their own domestic questions in their own way. And so I am an anti-imperialist. I am opposed to having the eagle put its talons on any other land. But the Treaty of Paris was not meant to bring about any form of peace. With all due respect to the U.S., I do feel as if their ultimate purpose was to conquer and colonize our nation. Thankfully, the Jones Law has made our situation so much better.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Gita. We appreciate your bravery and willingness to speak up. Now, a message from our sponsors.
Are you tired of chewing? Do you not want to chew? Then this product here is for you. Introducing No Chewing Allowed. It doesn't use energy, it doesn't take energy, it gives energy. Chocolate. I love it, he loves it, everybody loves it. No chewing needed.
Good morning. Welcome to Compton News. I'm Nadine Hillman, and this is my co-host Asha Nugroho, ready to bring you a personal window into life during the American colonization of the Philippines. Today it is December 10, 1965, nearly 2 decades since Philippines independence, and 67 years since the Treaty of Paris was signed.
That is right indeed. For this session, we will be further evaluating the consequences of the American colonization of the Philippines. If you recall, we talked about torture a few whiles back, and since then, there are always two sides of a coin, and we'll be looking at the brighter side of things for today's morning session.
Today we've invited Jose Marisol to give us a personal account of the reformed educational system. Jose, are you there?
Salamat, Nadine.
Could you tell us a bit more about those foreign scholarships?
Bangsa, the Americans established the Pensionado Act in 1903, an act that functioned as an incentive to students to excel in school. Basically, the government would sponsor top students to study in the United States to learn more about Western culture. To learn more between 1904 and 1905. Only 48 students, 40 boys, 8 girls, in total were selected out of over 20,000 applicants.
Oh wow, it does sound really tough. Do you think you could go more into detail about education provided by the colonial government?
Of course, the colonial government established several acts including all that the provinces must have schools, and even funded an official school to educate teachers. All children above age 7 and above had to sign up for provincial schools, either to the elementary or intermediate stage, high school or high-level stage, and the third level, which is college, where they were provided with study materials and tools. At school, everything was taught by English teachers known as Thomasites, a group of professional American teachers. Everything taught around American schools was reading, writing, arithmetic, and even manners.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much for Jose for joining us this lovely morning. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left. Thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Asha Negroho and this is my co-host Nadine Hillman. Come join us next time on Crompton News. Politician? Oh God. So we begin tonight's news coming from the recent treaty held in France. The treaty. As most of us, as most of us know, there has been an increased.
Is that correct?
Indeed it is.
Guys.
Sorry, that part. Is that correct?
Indeed it is.
Nah.
And that's it for today, folks.
Great.